everyone. Welcome back to The Lobby, GameSpot's weekly hangout. I'm Mike Mahardy. Danny O'Dwyer is still doing his thing over in Europe. Again, I don't know where he is. Somewhere over across the pond. Somewhere weird like that. I don't know, international. Never been there. I will be soon, though. Jake Decker, I've been telling you about this. I get to go work from our UK office for about a week before I go to Gamescom.
Yeah, first time.
Yeah.
Lucky guy.
Yeah, Scott Butterworth.
Yeah.
You'll be at Gamescom.
I will be, yeah. So I was going to make fun of you, but then I realized I'm going to be there too. So
Yeah.
it doesn't really work. Sorry, Jake.
So I can make fun of both of you because I'm not going to be there.
Yeah, I'll go see our UK team, hang out with them for a while, see what's up over there. I don't know what happens over there. I think they use different money than us.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's something about they're leaving something and some guy did a thing.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Politics.
We're not in the best political situation either right now.
Yeah.
All right, on a lighter note, I guess. We have a giveaway today. We have Yarny. He's this guy, the platformer game, which came out a few months ago. We also have codes for the game. He also has a tail here you can get. We're doing a giveaway. At 2:15, GameSpot will send out a tweet about Yarny itself. And just basically all you have to do for a chance to win is retweet it. And also I would kind of recommend telling us whether you would want it for Xbox One or PS4 because we have codes for both. So yeah, I'll get back to that again at the end of the show. But here he is. He's adorable and affable as ever. I don't see it. He's kind of creepy to me. If he had a mouth, maybe it'd be better. I'm kidding. Just retweet. You'll have a chance to get these. The game as well, which is always great.
Retweet so we can get Yarny away from Mike.
Yes.
Stop feeling creeped out.
We will get back to that. But right now, let's get to the show. Jake Decker, you played Telltale Batman. Telltale, the Batman series. Realm of Shadows, the first episode was called?
Batman the Telltale series. Realm of Shadows. I did. I played it. So did Timur.
Yeah, Timur Hussein over in the UK reviewed it, gave it an 8, liked it a lot. But you played it yesterday, right?
I played it yesterday. I think he liked it more than I did. I think I'm a little more burnt out on the Telltale games than he is, though. Mm-hmm. And mine crashed like 6 times while playing it. On PC. Other people tried it out. Timur didn't have any issues. Joey tried it out, didn't have any issues. But for some reason, maybe it was just the PC configuration. It crashed 6 times. So that kind of ruined my experience. But, I mean, it's a typical Telltale first episode. It's good. If you like Batman, you're going to like it.
Yeah. I remember you just said you were saying like you're kind of tired of Telltale games, which is where I'm at. And I wanted to bring Scott on because I know you play a lot of these games. But I was never super into those kind of games to begin with. I recognize their like writing quality and their narrative strengths and kind of, the illusion of choice they give you. And I really like The Walking Dead Season 1, The Wolf Among Us. I also finished that. But for Batman, if you're a Batman fan, is there a lot to like here? If you're not just like a Telltale Games fan?
Yeah, I think Batman fans are really going to like it. It tells... I'm not super familiar with the comics. I've seen the movies, and it tells somewhat of a different story. And one thing that Timur pointed out was that it tells... the story's trying to break Bruce Wayne rather than the Batman. So instead of like putting Batman through the ringer, it's more about putting Bruce Wayne through the ringer. And there's like a lot of crap happens to him this game, and it'll be really interesting to see where it goes from there. Mm-hmm. And this does set up all that pretty nicely. But I mean, if you want like it's not action packed though, at least not yet. Like there's not a whole lot of like Batman beating up thugs. It's still there, but it's not as prevalent as maybe some people hoped.
Well, the QTE for those games is always kind of the action for those games is always kind of like QTE heavy, right?
And it is for this too. And like one thing that's kind of weird, I don't remember it being like this in The Walking Dead or Wolf Among Us. But one weird thing is that like you can straight up just not hit buttons and just play through it. And then if you don't hit enough of them after a while, a guy will just like shoot you or something. It'll be like the end. But Batman will still like beat the snot out of people even if you don't hit anything. So it's not like he's actually messing things up, which is kind of weird.
I came over and saw you like just like leaning back in your seat, kind of like every once in a while when you're prompted, just pressing the E key to shoot your back at someone. It didn't look particularly engaging.
So that was like my third time playing through that part. So that may have been why I looked pretty uninterested. But
you did look very interested. But yeah, like it sounds like it's kind of delivering what we want from a Telltale game, right? That narrative. I don't know, Scott. Have you played like all of Telltale's properties by this point?
I don't think I've played all of them because they've been making games for a long time. But I've been keeping up pretty closely since the first season of The Walking Dead, like seasons 1 and 2 of The Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us. I didn't ever finish Game of Thrones, but Tales from the Borderlands was one of my favorite games from last year. And yeah, they are not mechanic-heavy games. If you are looking for action, you are absolutely in the wrong place. And it sounds like Batman's approach, which I have not had a chance to play yet, unfortunately, but it sounds like the approach they take to action is similar to, but not exactly like their previous games. You're right that in previous games, you actually had to like hit buttons or you would fail. Like if you missed 1 or 2 button presses, like you would die or something bad would happen and it would kick you back to the beginning of the section. So it sounds like you can kind of get away with a little bit more here. But Tamor actually pointed this out in his review that it wouldn't really fit the character if he was just getting beat up by regular old thugs, right? So it was kind of a weird line for Telltale to walk. Like it wouldn't make sense for him to just be like missing punches and getting worked over by thugs just because you missed a button prompt. So I can kind of see how they were caught in a tricky situation there. But then again, like maybe they just should skip over this action stuff altogether. Like if it's still not really that engaging, if it's still just quick time events and people really aren't that into it, maybe they need to really just recognize where their skills lie, continue to focus and invest more in the storytelling and the decision making and less on the QTEs. It'll be interesting to see how they sort of like evolve their approach to combat for Batman over the course of the series, but there's a chance that it won't change at all. Honestly, I'm a lot more interested in Walking Dead Season 3. That seems like that might change things a lot more, but that's not for a few more months still.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Every time they announce a new property, which I feel like they have a lot now, Batman was the first one. I was like, what are they doing? Like, that doesn't seem like the Lego stuff, or not the Lego, the Game of Thrones stuff, the Wolf Among Us, that made sense. Like, what was that?
Minecraft?
Minecraft, maybe that's, sorry, not Lego, yeah.
Minecraft Story Mode.
Yeah, which they're not bad.
Yeah,
I don't
they're cute.
believe so. I just don't, it seems like, my initial impression when I first heard a lot of these properties is they're forcing these narratives on things I wouldn't want a narrative in. Like Walking Dead makes sense. It's like a post-apocalyptic zombie world. We've become accustomed to that kind of trope by now. Wolf Among Us, same thing, based on the graphic novels, Fable, if I'm not mistaken. But then Game of Thrones comes along. But Batman, that's the one that that's the one I'm most drawn to. I love Game of Thrones, but I want to get into Batman. Like you said, they're kind of like trying to put Bruce Wayne through the ringer. And I really like that idea of, after a while, is Batman really the mask, or is that the real one? And then Bruce Wayne is the actual character. Do they really set up any like kind of cool character studies in this game, or like plot threads that are going to extend through 5 episodes, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I think it's typical 5 episodes. But yeah, they do. So they do, like I said, they do set up Bruce Wayne in an interesting way. And Batman is kind of just there to beat up thugs. Like when Bruce Wayne can't do something, it's like, all right, Batman, and then you do quick time events, which actually you can fail them, if that wasn't clear. It's just like, it's very lenient. But then there's also a new character. Well, not a new character. He's people know him. I don't want to spoil it, but they introduce him in a very different way, which is also something that Tamor mentioned in his review, which I think could be really interesting later down the line, or it could just fall flat. As of now, it's pretty interesting. And then, you've got your typical characters like Selena Kyle, Catwoman, that kind of play like very similar to what you'd expect. But once again, like I feel like they are planting seeds to do something more with these characters, which is interesting. I think Batman fans are really going to like it. Do
they push the detective angle and investigating? Because I feel like that was they used it for Rocksteady's games, and that was like some cool, like fun ways to like, describe him as the greatest detective in the world or whatever. Do they do that with the Telltale games? I feel like they're like tailor-made for this kind of slower pace.
They do, and I think that's probably like the most successful parts when you're Batman. They're still relatively simple. Like you're not going to get stuck on one of these for a while, but it's like you'll go into a room and there'll be all this like evidence laying around, and basically you need to connect different pieces of evidence to each other, and then like a sort of, I forget what it's called, but like a holographic recreation will play it out for Batman and the viewer, and you can just kind of like see like, okay, this is what's going on. It's actually pretty gory too. Like some of these crime scenes, well, you only investigate one, but the one you investigate is it's pretty gory. Like this is a mature Batman story if people were interested.
Do they they've mentioned the multiplayer? Did you get to try that at all? Or is that like going to be, you did try it? Can you describe how a Telltale
game? Your laughter is not encouraging.
No. How does a Telltale game, first off, like just describe it to us, because I really don't even know how a Telltale game would have multiplayer.
So like Jackbox TV. So it's similar to that, in that you get a code, you go to a website on your phone, and then you enter the code, give yourself a name, and then you can vote on things to say. And then when there's nothing to say, you can either thumbs up or thumbs down the scene. I don't know. We didn't quite figure that out. You're just thumbs up and thumbs downing random stuff. But basically, whenever there's a dialogue choice, everyone in the room can pick like what choice they want to say from their phone, and then Batman will say it. And yeah, so
is it majority rule, or is it just like somebody who's driving will look and see what's winning?
Majority rule.
Really?
So Alex thought, he was testing out with me, and he thought that I still got to pick because I was mouse and keyboard. Turns out though, like we had 3 people vote for one thing and I voted for the other, and that one went with it. So it is democratic
I wonder if you
majority
can
rule.
adjust that, because that's really interesting. That it like if you commit to having other people with you, that they are in your game.
They are
like,
taking control.
You
of
are
the story.
really in it together. Yeah.
I would just be one of those people trying to derail the entire thing.
Yeah, well,
not to just be a troll, but like I don't. If it's a democratic thing, I just want to actually try to upset the balance. I guess I am. Just
Want to
being a
watch
troll,
the
so
world burn.
well, like
I just said I wasn't being a troll, and I defined myself
I
as
think
such.
but yeah.
But what was
the
your
problem
experience like?
with it though is that, well, I mean, like if you did something like this, what would you typically want to do with this? Like stream it, right? Mm-hmm. You can't stream it though, because decisions you have about 8 seconds, and that lag's not going to be quick enough.
Yeah.
So I mean, the easy thing would be just to get rid of the timer, but for some reason they didn't do that, so you can't really stream this.
You'd have to like have a separate stream for the decisions, and then like
a
delayed one for the actual choices.
Yeah, see, that's already too much work. No one's going to do this.
No one's gonna do it.
But Telltale said that they are trying to figure out a way so people can stream it. It's just kind of a shame that they haven't figured that out, because that seems like the main appeal for something like this. Like, I'm not going to invite my friends over and like, let's watch Batman Telltale as we pick this. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I like Batman a lot, like a lot of people do nowadays, but I don't know that a lot of times with Telltale games, I have nothing against them. They're just, I think they're very well written. I think, like I said, I like that the choices carry through to the end. I like the episodic structure. I think it works well here. I just always feel like I could get that experience from another medium. I don't know. Like I like narrative games. You know, like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, Gone Home. I think if they're done well, they can achieve like really impactful messages and stories. But I'm just wondering if it's enough to pull me in as a Batman fan, and if you're a Telltale fan, whether that'll pull you in as well. I'm kind of wondering if they're balancing those two camps well.
I mean, I think if you're a Batman fan, you're definitely going to want to play this. I was actually talking to one of my good friends. He loves Batman, and he's absolutely in love with this. Like, he thinks it's fantastic. If you're a Telltale fan, you're probably going to be sick of this formula by now, I think.
It sounds like it doesn't really change all that much. Like, people who know Telltale games are going to just like, yep, it's another like just iteration of that same formula, which, you know, again, I mean, I'm a Telltale fan, obviously, and even I'm like, okay, this is starting to wear thin. Like, we really need some new ideas, which again is why I'm excited about Walking Dead Season 3. But as people have, like, it's become almost like a rallying cry for people who aren't big on Telltale games that the end is the same no matter what choices you make, and that's true for basically every single Telltale game. Like, no matter what choices you make, no matter how the path branches, you ultimately end up at the same destination. And yeah, they've got to start doing things a little bit different, or even Telltale fans are just going to get totally burnt out on it. And maybe you're not meant to play every single Telltale game. Maybe it's like, oh, you're a Batman fan, play this one. Like, oh, your kid loves Minecraft, play this one. You know, if you're playing every single one, you'll get burned out much more quickly,
Very fast.
But still, even if you're just picking and choosing the ones you play, it's like it really couldn't hurt for them to update the way they do things. It's great though the writing may be.
Yeah. Scott, regardless of your current backlog of games, do you plan on playing this?
I mean, I would love to someday, but it's definitely not top of the list for me. Yeah. Like, I like Batman, but I'm by no means like a hardcore Batman fan. Yeah. And I've played a lot of Telltale games, like, and I have so much other stuff to get through.
Yeah.
Like, I still haven't played Doom. I really want to play Doom, for example. Like, just this May in particular this year, there were so many big releases that this one is like, I'll play it someday. Like, it'll be on Steam sale someday. I'll be like, oh God, I never played Batman. And I'll totally play it because I love Telltale, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it.
Sure.
But yeah, there's nothing about this particular series that has me like really thrilled or excited.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think I'm sort of borderline. I don't think I'll get to it anytime soon, like you, Scott, or Jake. I don't know.
To end on
You
a
played it
slightly
last
more
night.
positive note, I will say that I love that they are focusing on Batman or on Bruce Wayne. I love that there's like political intrigue, that it's not just about Batman, that it is about the full character. I think that was a really genius choice. So if there is a reason to play this game, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, judging by reviews of Suicide Squad, DC Universe can take any help it can get in any form. So, but anyway, yeah, that is Telltale, the Batman, the Telltale series, episode 1, Realm of Shadows. You can check out Timur Hussein's review on GameSpot. Gave it an 8 out of 10. He really liked it. Tell us what you think. Are you interested for more Telltale games? Are you interested for this specific one? Walking Dead Season 3, like Scott said. Leave your comments in the section below on YouTube or GameSpot and tell us what you think. All right, on to the next section. Scott.
Another game that's like not really a game, quote unquote.
But one that I think all three of us were really positive on, as well as Pete and Mary, pretty much took the GameSpot office like by a stealthy storm. We're talking about Abzu.
Yeah.
So this is under a lot of people's radar. So before we get into your opinion about it in your review, which
Or
like,
their
was very
sonar.
glowing. Nice. I was trying to
nice?
set up a Scott
I'm
joke at
sorry.
some point. It wouldn't be
There's a
I
clap
can't
for you.
Yeah.
help myself. I'm a terrible human. You
No,
should
it's
all
all right.
hate me.
No, it's
Anyway.
all right. It wasn't like I've seen like in the comments like Echo the Dolphin jokes.
Yeah.
So that's a lot more appropriate. Even though it's not a dolphin, it's not anything like Echo the Dolphin. It's just underwater. But anyway, so tell us like what Abzu is in a nutshell, if you can.
Sure. So it's an underwater exploration game. It's very much like Journey. So there's no dialogue. The characters don't really have names. There's no even real context. It's just you sort of wake up in the middle of the ocean and you begin your forward journey. It's a very linear experience, but you're also can kind of explore at your own pace for the majority of the game. So you can really enjoy the sea life. That's all very believable. Like all of the ecosystems you interact with are like happening around you and just kind of subsist without you even influencing them. It's just you can watch and enjoy all the stuff happening around you. It's a very, like, I think the way I put it in my reviews, it's a very profoundly peaceful experience. But there is more of a story. The more you play, you start to uncover different aspects of the world, and you realize that there is kind of that everything you uncover is alluding to this sort of narrative. And the more you play, the more you understand. So it actually becomes a really moving and like just kind of timeless experience, and it goes in some really surprising directions. It evolves in ways that I really didn't see coming, and that's really all I want to say about it. It's one of those really difficult to discuss games because it is relatively short. It only took me about 4 hours, and I was really taking my time. So the more you talk about it, the more you risk kind of spoiling the enjoyment. But suffice to say, it is more than an ocean life simulator, even if it really is a really great ocean life simulator for a lot of the experience.
Yeah, it's weird because even though there are kind of spoilers, even like talking to other people in the office, it's kind of hard to describe like what the spoilers are. It's a very kind of like it's like you compared it to Journey a lot. Could you talk about that, like the comparisons with that, or
Yeah, totally. People who have been reading previews of the games probably know that this game was actually made by Journey's art director. It's a new studio, Giant Squid, but it's several team members who worked on either Journey or Flower, a few different games of that kind of ilk.
Some composer as well, Austin Wintory.
Yeah,
Journey.
and the music is really fantastic.
We can get into that because that was a big part of your review as well.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, it doesn't have Journey's multiplayer, which is a bit of a shame. I mean, I think part of what made Journey such a powerful experience for most players was that moment of walking up to another character in the world and realizing that it's another human, and you can't actually speak to each other, but you can still kind of communicate. Like that was such an original and interesting idea, and so powerful in the context of that world where you did feel kind of isolated and lonely. So this game does not have multiplayer, but it kind of fills that void in a different way. And like I was describing earlier, it shares a lot of just structural similarities to Journey in that it is linear, it is brief, it is wordless. It is primarily about exploration. It's relatively light on mechanics. So there's no combat. You can't even actually die in the game. I mean, I actually tried. I messed around to see if like I could find a way to fail, and you really can't. But that I think just speaks to the type of experience it is. It's kind of like a beautiful and meditative experience, more so than like a traditional, video game in like the Mario or shooter sense or anything like that.
Yeah, you kind of touched on it, but there are a couple times throughout it when I thought I was like, it's lurking into the territory where I feel like it's just trying to gamify things, whether it's through like puzzles or like collectibles, but it never was too difficult or too kind of cloying that it got in the way of the experience it was trying to be. I found I liked it just for like how peaceful and like zen it is, and
Totally.
Like initially when they first announced it, I thought it was just like a scuba diving simulator before I really looked into who it was and whatnot. Not like a hardcore simulator, but like I have a lot of background in scuba diving, oddly enough, and so I just like this setting. Like the setting and like itself was initially appealing, but you start getting into you start discovering new creatures like like these different barracuda, or I don't know if these are actual like real. I don't think these are scientifically.
I think they are to a degree. I mean, like, so one of the mechanics in the game is you can sort of cling to larger animals and just ride around on them. And when you do, like, their name will appear in the bottom right corner, and it's it's not like their Latin scientific genus,
anglerfish or sperm
but
whales.
yeah, it'll tell you what the animal is, and it seems like they went to some effort to ensure that the animals looked and behaved in ways that correlated with the real animal. So yeah, I mean, I don't know that this is going to be like an educational tool. It's not quite at that level, but certainly it seems like they paid attention to the species they were including and what they look like and how they act and how they interact. So to some extent, I think it is like somewhat scientifically accurate. I don't know that was like
Yeah, maybe not
the point,
insofar as
but-
you'll find like this kind of orca whale alongside an anglerfish at this depth or anything.
Yeah.
But they are like the artwork itself is very, despite the fact like I think you called it Wind Waker-esque, it's also very, they're detailed creatures despite the fact that it's kind of a minimalistic look. But also, like it is tough to talk about because you can't get into like who you are or like what is going on at all, whether there is something going on.
Yeah, which is frustrating, but
Yeah. Right. But it's also like, I guess like the number one thing for me I was worried about is ever since like games became 3D, swimming has been one of gaming's
yeah.
big problems. So
Yeah.
before like I heard you and Pete come in after you had reviewed it and Pete had played it as well, I was worried. I was saying, I don't want to devote 2 hours or however long it is to like struggling with swimming controls. But turns out that's not a problem here.
No, not at all. The swimming feels fantastic, like better than probably any 3D game that I can remember. And I think a lot of that can be attributed to the control scheme, which actually is very close to like a racing game's control scheme. When you think about it, it's sort of odd, but it works. It makes perfect sense. So you're using R2, like the right trigger to swim forward. So no matter which direction the camera's facing, if you hold R2, your character just swims forward, which is great because that lets you kind of look around and enjoy the environment. And then you use the left stick to sort of change direction, and the animation is so fluid. Like you will just kind of flip or twist in whatever way, and it looks really graceful, and it always is very responsive to your input. So the swimming ends up feeling really fantastic. Again, probably better than any game that I can remember. Mm-hmm. And then you throw in like the boost mechanic where you have to kind of like rhythmically tap the X button to build up boost. And like just that can be really exhilarating. You can kind of maneuver through objects in the environment or like breach out of the water and do flips, and you can get fish to follow you. And again, it sounds like kind of silly, but it's actually like really enjoyable. And it fits with sort of the peaceful nature of the game, but it gives it a little more energy and is a little more kind of fun and active, and it gives the game some gameplay to fall back on.
Yeah. Can you talk about you did mention in your review the score by Austin Winter. You think you said it like it adapts to the actual what's happening. And
yeah.
the
So what's really cool is, again, it's a linear game. So as you move forward, you can kind of, or at least when I started paying attention to it, I realized that it's not like, oh, I'm in area A, therefore song A plays. And then I went to area B, so song B started. It's more like as you move, the music will adapt to like sort of where you are and what you're doing. And it seems to do that on the fly. Like it's so subtle, you don't even really notice. It's just there adding this kind of like emotional texture or undercurrent underneath the experience. And it doesn't ever really call attention to itself. It just dynamically shifts and adjusts and stitches itself together in these different ways to provide that texture, to like propel you through the experience and keep you in a particular mood that matches whatever's happening around you. It's like so elegantly done. It's you don't even really notice it unless you're really paying attention.
Yeah, the momentum at specific parts. So, you get into these faster paced parts. The momentum of the score parallels that of the gameplay and whatnot, which is a really nice feeling because then after a while you have like these schools of fish swimming along with you. You have these like big clouds of fish that you go through. There's one part. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it. There are specific moments that like I was talking to Pete Brown about, and I was saying, dude, this part was great, and like I told Mary the same thing about certain parts. So there are memorable moments in this game,
Totally.
but it strikes me as this singular experience. Something we were all curious about, and Dodsworth N7 in the Twitch chat had asked if there was multiplayer akin to Journeys, or is this just strictly single player experience?
No. It's purely single player. Yeah, and in a way, when you play the game, you'll understand why. Again, that's one of the frustrations about the game, that like you don't want to divulge too much about it, but it is the kind of game that's best enjoyed on your own. Just like put on headphones, sit by yourself, just like chill out and play this game, and just let it kind of wash over you, man. I don't want to get too like hippie zen about it because that's not really who I am, but I still found this game like really cathartic and just calming and beautiful and just like exactly what I think a lot of people might need. It's like an amazing palate cleanser between games like, I don't know, Overwatch or something really competitive, really high stakes. Like it's something really great to like just go do this instead.
Yeah, and it's weird because I think in my current like habit of playing games right now, even if I'm reviewing stuff, I'll play something for about 2 hours and get up for like 10 minutes if I need to, or like just maybe like if it's the weekend, I'll play for 2 hours, go out and do something, come back and finish something off later. This is like the perfect length for me to just sit down one sitting literally without getting up. And like Jake and I both played it last night, and then we talked about it afterward. But that was a thing. I didn't even want to stop playing because it wasn't like pulling me through at a breakneck pace, but it was at the same time just such a calming thing. And like you said, it's just what I needed. I just beat Doom the weekend before. I've been playing Overwatch, these fast-paced kind of just like hellish shooters. And then like that's why I was kind of excited about it because I love Journey. I loved like Gone Home. I'm excited for Tacoma, Fulbright Company's other game coming out. I don't know, Jake, what did you think about like Abzu overall? Like, did it line up with your expectations of what it was going to be, or without spoiling anything, obviously, did it become something altogether new?
I actually didn't really have expectations for it. I knew about this game, and I knew it had a lot to do with people who worked on Journey. But I mean, I heard Pete talk about it, and then I heard you talk about it, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna play this game, and I did, and I thought it was phenomenal. I think what I have to say is that if you're deciding between Batman or Abzu, I'd get Abzu.
Yeah, it's nice that they're both kind of like bite size, but Abzu I think did encompass like a little broader thing, without sounding too pompous and artistic about it. There are like deeper things you can glean from it, whether you want to or not. If you don't want to, it's just a very fluid, fun thing to do. Like I know I kind of waded into the comments on accident, and I was just
I did
so many
too.
curmudgeons.
It's one of those things where people saying it's not a game.
Yeah, it's so joyless.
Which
It's so
that's not an argument.
cynical.
I don't want to bring up the whether these are games argument right now. 'Cause that's a whole other
those
thing.
people
Yeah.
just bum me out so much. Just like if you're not into it, that's fine.
Yeah.
You don't need to be. It's like there's a whole world. Like we have Dark Souls, we have Overwatch, we have Fury, we have Headlander, we have all these games that either are explicitly trying to be old games or like the modern equivalent of those games and are challenging and skillful. And like all that stuff is amazing. Just let this exist as well. Like we have room for all this stuff. Like chill out, guys. It's a beautiful experience. If you don't want that, totally cool.
Yeah.
You don't need to be like a joyless jerk and try to ruin it for everybody else. That's all I'll say. I know you don't want to get into it. I'm sorry. I just had a whole morning of like people being angry in the comments and shaking my head and getting depressed.
Yeah, I'm sorry to bring that up.
It's inevitable with these types of games.
Yeah.
People will always want to have that conversation. This isn't a game, and it's just it's exhausting every time.
It's just shirking those definitions can help us create more for the medium, I think. But again, that's a different argument, and kind of I don't want to get into it right now. I don't think anybody wants us to get into it. What were you gonna say though?
Maybe I shouldn't say what I was going to say.
Go for it. I don't care. Go for it.
Oh, I mean, it plays so well. Like it plays so well. Like
It's
I
a
feel
fun
like
game.
That the argument should be over after that because like the swimming and like what Mike was saying, like my least favorite thing in games is swimming usually. Like the minute I dive underwater, I'm like, great, here we go. But this like the entire experience just like the swimming just feels so streamlined, so great, and like breaching up out of the water.
Yeah, it's
and
fun. It's exhilarating.
Oh, actually, one small thing. Did you guys figure out the boost mechanic, like the triple boost?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like I wasn't paying attention when they told me, so I just kept like furiously tapping it. But if you do the tempo, the 1, 2, 3, he does the kick and then the mermaid and then the just full on boost, which is great.
Like the
it feels
golden
great.
flippers.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't figure out that Rob Handler found out was you can do cannonballs. Like if you breach out of the water and hit the circle button, your guy like tucks and does a cannonball. I didn't figure that out. Like I saw him doing it. I was like, how are you doing that?
I didn't
so
know
that was really cool.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of like little just nuances and worked into the mechanics. They're really important, but like it's cool that they're there.
Yeah.
So.
Do either of you feel the need to go back? Or
Totally.
like do you want to?
God, yeah.
Okay.
I already did. I already went back and like played halfway through it again.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it this weekend. I think again.
Yeah.
For me, I fully expect this to be one of those games that I play like once a year. Like I just want to go back to that world and spend time there.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm kind of different from you guys, and it was a time and place thing for me. Like my lights were off last night. It was just a long day, and I just finished it, and that's all I need. It's not that I don't like it at all. I really like it. I completely agree. You gave it a 9 out of 10. Like we were talking, like what should the score be? But after a while, it's in one of those games. It's hard to assign a score, but I completely get it. It's going to be different for everybody. For me, it was just one thing I wanted to just get out. The music was great. The art was great. The actual like way you move through it and the way it kind of tells its weird like simplistic story. Again, without going into spoilers, but it does go into like territory you might not expect, or maybe you do. I don't know, depending on your kind of what you're expecting, I guess. Which that's always difficult to balance with what it really is. But yeah, it was a surprise for me. I probably won't go back to it, like I said, but I really enjoyed like that bite-sized experience. I think it was just what I need. I think it's like you said, what a lot of people need right now.
Yeah, I would hope that people just give it a chance. Like I think people will be very surprised at how it affects them. Like just it affects their mood, affects their emotions. It's just that kind of game that will get in your head in like the best way and just kind of wash over you, and like other things just stop mattering. It really is just like meditation in game form, and it's beautiful. I sincerely recommend everybody try it.
Cool. Yeah, me too. I think Jake, you could probably support that, and Pete and Mary.
I agree.
I don't know if Rob liked it.
I think he
assuming
did.
he did,
He seemed to be enjoying it. I don't know that he beat it, but he seemed to be enjoying it when I walked over and he was playing.
Cool. Well, that's Abzu. You can read Scott Butterworth's review. It's a 9 out of 10 on GameSpot. Go delve into the minutia on our website and let us know what you think in the comments below. Anyway, guys, I'm going to have to kick both of you off.
Yeah, I heard
Thanks
the door
so much for
open.
coming.
All right.
Yeah.
It's game over.
Going to get a couple new people on. Pete Brown is coming on.
All right.
And Jimmy is going to come on to tell us about the Xbox
Later,
One
Mike.
S.
Don't ruin the podcast.
I'll try not to. Have a good day, guys. I'll probably see you in like half an hour. Oh, man. Here's Pete Brown, the show regular, with a beard far better than mine ever will be. What do you use for that?
Time?
Time? I've been using curry, and it didn't work. I just smell really weird the rest of the day.
You just gotta let your beard grow out.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I feel like...
Don't try to impose.
Yours is much better than mine anyway. I like this. That's about it.
I know. I guess I can't complain too much. Maybe
I
like
just rub
in
mayo
5
on my
years or
face.
so.
It promotes growth.
Maybe like when I hit 30, I'll start growing a beard more.
Yeah.
And then in a year
That's
or
the
so,
time.
That's the time. I'm not kidding. Like all my siblings were 28 before they started growing beard. So not 30, being facetious. But anyway, this is run its course. Every time you come on the show, it just gets derailed.
Sorry.
Just
The Beardcast.
Jimmy, how you doing? What have you been up to today?
I'm doing all right. I just finished the review on this
Ooh, you
guy.
brought
if
one.
you guys can
Sweet.
see it.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, Xbox One S. I don't know which camera. I should probably one of those
Yeah,
two.
that's good.
Yeah, so I just reviewed this this morning, or rather, the NDA just left it this morning.
Yeah, let's get into that. We are going to be talking about the Xbox One S, which when is it like publicly
Today.
available? Today. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So I could get one if I wanted to, but there's one right here, so I'm going to just take this afterward. But anyway, people are like curious about this because like the Scorpio is also announced, and right now that's the working title. I don't know if that's going to be the
Project
final
Scorpio,
name of it.
right.
Yeah, Project Scorpio. The Xbox One launched with a few problems and everything. Like hardware wise, it's kind of it was always up for a discussion on a variety of fronts. But I guess people are curious about this. I guess the overarching question, which we can get into later after we talk about the specs and what's new with it and what it does for people who might have an Xbox. The overarching question being, is it worth getting with the Scorpio on the horizon? Yeah, just jump right in there, I guess. Like, what's your take?
Yeah,
on
I
that?
mean, it really depends on where you're coming from. So I would say if you have an Xbox One already, then don't upgrade to this unless you really want the HDR and 4K support. So this Xbox can do HDR 4K video streaming. So yeah, I wouldn't upgrade if you already have an Xbox One. If you do, want that, those media features, then this thing is, as far as I'm concerned, a must buy. It's actually cheaper than like dedicated players out there.
Yeah.
And it comes with an Xbox One.
Yeah.
Well,
that was the thing. Like, what it's got like 4K Blu-ray, the HDR, which like HDR is like
high
purported to be
dynamic range.
Yeah.
It's better, basically
a lot more contrast, right?
Yeah, more contrast. It's a higher color gamut as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember you saying like in the review that like the black pixels almost look like they're not even lit up at all,
right.
or like like ideally.
Right.
But and that's like supposedly the next big thing apart from 4K, like 4 times the resolution or whatever. It really.
Yeah,
is.
I think it's actually, in my opinion, it's probably a bigger difference. HDR is a bigger difference than a 1080p to 4K upgrade.
Mhm.
The colors are just really much more vibrant.
Yeah. So can you tell us about like obviously it's 40% smaller. I've heard it's pretty heavy for its
Now,
size.
apparently it isn't exactly 40% smaller. I don't know what the exact percentage is, but if you consider like the fact that it has an integrated power brick, it's actually, like really impressively small because the
Yeah.
power brick on the original Xbox was massive.
There's no good place to put that thing ever. Like behind like an entertainment center.
You just bury it under dirty clothes
Yeah.
and pray it catches fire.
To
Yes.
burn your clothes you don't want.
Yes.
So the power brick is like back here, I believe. It's
Okay.
a lot smaller this time around too. 'Cause
Okay.
it's a little bit more power efficient.
And it's like, can you tell me about the specs? I'm gonna leave this to you too because I'm pretty dumb with.
The specs
in
are largely
general.
the same. It still has an AMD 8-core processor. I think it's clocked at like 1.7 gigahertz. The GPU is actually it's a little faster this time around. I think it's up from like 153 megahertz to like 914. And
Sounds like a lot.
It's a 7% boost.
Yeah.
And while some games can benefit slightly from this, it's going to be pretty hard to notice. It's mostly for the performance boost is mostly for HDR support.
Okay. Can someone's asking in the Twitch? Can this stand vertically just like any other console? Or is
It
that,
can.
like,
I don't
in
have the
Bible?
stand in right now, but it can without it. It's sort of like the PlayStation where it can stand vertically, but probably go this way.
Are you guys vertical standers or horizontal?
I always want to be a vertical stander. You know, like I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I could be that guy.
Vertical,
that could be me.
Upright is the aspirational pose for your Xbox
And poise.
and poise.
Yeah, but I never managed to like get the stands, find a way to arrange it. It's just
I think most media centers are more geared towards like a horizontal kind of setup anyhow, unless you're going to put it on top of the table.
just
and stuff, I
rotate the media
suppose.
center 90 degrees.
Oh, there you go.
Be that guy.
The TV is going to be like super high up on the side.
All right, so there are updates right out of the gate, obviously. I was reading they take up 400 gigs. Is that correct? Or between the OS and updates?
Yeah, so
I'm
this...
gonna put this down before it falls.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
obscuring
we
your
do live
lovely
in
beard
California
anyway.
where there's earthquakes. Yeah, so this is the 2 terabyte version. I wanted to see, after the OS updates and the firmware and all that stuff, how much space would I have, to play around with, and it was 1.6 terabytes. So that means, essentially 400.
So, but
Gigs are
that
taken
raises a question then. If you buy the 500 gigabyte version, you're only gonna have 100 gigabytes?
So I asked Microsoft this actually, and they basically kind of gave me a non-answer.
Man, screw that. That's such
Yeah, it was very
bullshit.
strange.
That's a real serious question that people need answered.
No,
because-
I definitely answered them, and they didn't.
I know you
Yeah,
did.
they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't answer. It was very
God,
strange.
that's
I can't
Wow.
verify that.
Because what was
I think he was saying something with like there's something to do with like the summer sale, like taking up some. I don't know. He was saying something. He said something about summer sale in his answer. I don't
so
recall.
seasonally your Xbox may have. Damn it.
what was like the baseline Xbox One storage when it first came out?
500. I want to
Yeah.
say, yeah.
After everything else downloaded?
No,
Or
no,
you
no.
Oh,
just
you mean
had
you mean
500?
after? I
That's
didn't
still what I
review the
have.
Xbox One,
I
so
don't remember. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's just like your experience been like performance wise playing games? Did you get a lot of time playing games with it at all?
Yeah, so I played about a half dozen games or so. I mean, it's it is 7% faster, but a lot of games are actually use like locked frame rates. Like for instance, if you're playing a game and it's like locked at 30 frames per second, well, just because it gets 7% faster, it's still locked at 30, so you're not going to see any difference.
Okay.
So if a game doesn't feature a locked frame rate, then theoretically you can. But like being able to tell the difference is going to be really hard.
Did you in general kind of I don't know, can certain games in certain cases perform actually better on this? Remember reports came out in June that like there are certain specs with this that would allow games
If
to
there
play
are
better.
games that don't have unlocked frame rates, then theoretically yes.
Okay.
Can get up to a 7%.
Because I was curious with this releasing, like whether this would tell us anything about the Scorpio, which is still largely like some of it's under wraps.
So I don't think this is indicative of anything.
Because it's such a minor upgrade over the Xbox One, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Aside from the actual
Yeah.
physical
And
size.
honestly, I feel like the performance differences you're going to see, like, it's not really a selling point for the console.
No.
You shouldn't buy this because it's going to be maybe
Yeah.
7%.
I mean, so it's maybe 7% faster, but like a video card, you can overclock that to be like 15% faster.
Yeah.
So like it's not a huge thing.
No.
Just a better perspective.
I mean, I wonder how much this is just. I mean, obviously, it's just filling the gap before the Scorpio comes out because we're getting into those.
Sure.
The more of a PC life cycle for a console. It's not like just going to be an Xbox One, Xbox Two anymore.
Yeah.
And I wonder
maybe
how
we
much
could
of
see
this-
like an S for every generation, sort of like the iPhone.
I'm
So-
wondering like if it's this, how much of this was a reaction to like PS 4.5 or whatever to fill that gap and kind of compete still, and especially the NX coming out in the spring, supposedly maybe just Microsoft was trying to fill that
It's
gap.
a real easy way to renew interest in their console, a console that hasn't been selling as well as the competition.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a new version. It's sleeker, it's sexier, it's no longer this big hulking thing. And yeah, maybe it's a little bit faster and maybe you get some more media stuff with it as well.
Yeah.
Like that might tip some people over the edge and make Microsoft look like they understand the problems with the original Xbox One and are improving it.
Yeah. Because there's like, apart from the actual hardware, there's nothing else. Like, they're not like updating any. It's going to be just, if you turn it on, it's going to seem like an Xbox One experience, right? Apart from minor instances,
Yeah, it doesn't have a Connect port though, so you'll need a
Right.
USB adapter for that.
which is a bummer.
Well, I mean,
That was my
the
drive
Skype,
here.
there are
the
people,
Skype calls, man.
That's true, man.
Yeah.
There are people though who I think maybe do use the voice commands,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't have to trade in your Xbox One if you already do that and you've already got one.
Yeah.
So you probably don't need to worry about it.
Do either of you, like, aside from the fact that you're reviewing it for work, plan on getting one?
I'm currently borrowing an Xbox One from work, and the idea of owning this sounds good to me, but the idea of spending money on it does not,
Yeah.
because the Scorpio is looming, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm attracted to it, but I'm not jumping at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think my my desk space is like it's pretty full right now, and to be honest, I mostly play on PC, but I do think it is the best and sexiest Xbox there is, and it's weird because I called it sexy in the review, and the comments were like, "How can you call an inanimate thing sexy?" I was like, "Oh, Lamborghini can be kind of sexy." Right?
I don't know. How can you be a jerk on the internet?
Oh,
Type
man,
a comment like that.
a plethora of ways.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know. Is there anything else you should know, like specs wise? I think you covered it. Like whether I guess the big question being like if it's worth getting in the gap, which you were saying.
It's kind of in a strange. It's in a very strange space because I don't think we've ever encountered a new system refresh with the company announcing a new next gen console before, or at least I can't
Well, they
call in a scenario.
they showed the refresh of the Xbox 360 when they announced the Xbox One. They came out with an even slimmer version of the Xbox 360, which I
okay.
think there are like 3 or 4 versions of. But I mean, you got to remember the Scorpio is going to be really expensive,
Yeah,
and they've even come out and said like it's going to be pricey. So, you know,
right.
if you think about it in those terms, right? Like if you want to be a part of the Xbox ecosystem,
And it's going to be backwards compatible as
exactly.
well. So
Yeah.
Do you think like Sony and Microsoft released the Xbox One and PS4 knowing that the life cycle would become like this, or is this just very much adapting on the fly to what PC like are now?
I mean, when they shifted to the architecture that is no longer like semi-custom chips, I mean, they're sort of, I guess they are maybe a little semi-custom.
I mean,
but-
they're customized.
yeah, but you know what I mean? Like
They're x86.
it's not like they're making like weird power PC chips anymore.
That's an interesting question. I actually kind of wrote an article that touches upon that. I think I mean, you'd have to ask them, but like going to an x86 architecture, which is the same architecture that computers use, PCs use, it opens the door. So maybe they kind of had that in mind. I don't know if like, pre 2013, before these consoles were out, and these consoles were designed, much earlier than that. I don't know if they had, concrete plans just yet, but I think it was just like, yeah, if we wanted to, we probably could.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. I personally I'm gonna hold off on this. I have an Xbox One. I use it a lot.
How dare you? It's so sexy.
It does look really good, and it also just seems like it would fit better in the space I have as opposed to that VCR player of a console that I use now. And then again, I bring this up all the time because it annoys me that much, but my roommate Jake Decker has the loudest Xbox One ever, so I might buy one for him so I don't have to deal with that thing anymore.
More like jerk decker.
Jerk Decker, yeah.
His Xbox is loud. The Xbox One's loud.
Its fan is like playing maracas when it spins around.
that
I don't know
doesn't-
how
that
else to
doesn't
describe it without like actually being like, I don't know the technical terms. What happening? Some belt broke or something.
How do you say maraca in technical terms?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. But anyway, yeah, that is the Xbox One S. You can read the full review on GameSpot right now. Jimmy wrote it. Overall, maybe hold off if you want a Scorpio. If you don't have an Xbox One, go for this. It's smaller. It's kind of a similar experience. But yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know if you think you're going to get one. Let us know what you think if you might hold off like I will for the Scorpio in the comments below. Thanks so much, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to boo you off.
Thanks for having me.
Leave the Xbox. Oh. Anyway, yeah, we're going to get Alex Newhouse on, who's been patiently waiting, I'm sure. I don't know. We're going to be talking about something that people somehow are not sick of talking about anymore.
It's my sky, damn it. You can't have it. You can't have it.
Yeah,
Peter's
that's a nice,
Sky?
It's my
that's a nice segue. We were going to be talking about No Man's Sky, and Alex, you wrote something that kind of got a lot of us thinking, or kind of exaggerating. It didn't really.
You didn't really think about it, did you?
No, I'm kidding. I'm
Honey, why can't you sleep? I just don't
Alex
know.
wrote this think piece, and I don't know what to think of it.
Yeah, I actually saw you reading it. You just turned. The only thing you said to me was, "Oh, you've got a typo. Let me fix that." It's the only thing
You
said
spelled
about it.
mechanic like mechanic. I don't know.
Mechanic.
If I recall, click. Anyway, yeah. So No Man's Sky is out in what, a week? Officially
from
now.
today.
August 8th. August.
Ninth.
What is today?
Ninth.
Ninth.
What is today's second?
Yeah,
Today's second.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
It's almost here.
I'm supposed to be.
You're off to Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's next week.
Europe.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so No Man's Sky we've talked about a lot, but one of the looming questions is like always kind of what we'll be doing in it from minute to minute, and we've kind of talked about that over a few times. Like there's an economy to it. You'll be trying to improve your technology to reach the center of the universe after 30 or 40 something hours. That one guy who bought it ahead of time, I think it took him 35. I don't know if there's proof that he actually did it, but yeah.
His word, Mike.
Yeah, his word. Which you keep the good segues into. We're going to talk about the morality of No Man's Sky. Like, basically, are you going to be good or bad, right? Because there are choices. Like, when I first found out that you could be like a space pirate, I'm like, hell yes, let me put a parrot on my shoulder and just zoom around the galaxy, hijacking people.
Just stealing people's stuff.
Yeah, boarding the mainframe. I'm trying to think of what futuristic pirates would be doing.
Would the parrot also be futuristic?
Yeah, he's robotic.
Okay.
Cyborg parrot.
Okay, cool.
Space parrot?
All right, I feel much better about this whole thing. I was worried for his well-being.
Pretty sure parrots can't live in space, so.
It's a vacuum up there.
Yeah.
But basically, you had said it's such a big universe, right? Like where the odds of us actually running into another person is 1 in 100,000, which isn't that bad.
It's way lower than that.
Really?
From the math I did, it could be different. That they could be doing some trickery to get people in with you, but it's like I did the math, and to have a 1% chance of any two people being on the same planet, you would have to have 300 million people playing at the same time. So that's minuscule chance you'll.
There's not even 300 million people on Earth.
Just kidding. So you're saying I should play the lotto instead of try to find someone else in No Man's Sky?
Exactly.
I'm waiting for that one comment that actually thinks I was serious. Someone thought I was serious when I thought the Eiffel Tower was in Germany. They insulted the American education system. I don't know where they're from, but I guess
probably France.
Sense of humor, probably. Yeah. But there are more than I think there are more than 300 people in the world. But with that big of a universe and this many the plethora of ways you could spend your time. Or is it going to be like Grand Theft Auto where you're just using it as a power fantasy and kind of accept getting some inner rage out? Or are you going to be trying to actually preserve it and be a good person like you might in Mass Effect, the Paragon route?
Right. And I think probably one of the most interesting parts of this is that they say that the universe to an extent is going to be permanent. So you can screw up a planet bad enough that it's saved to the server. And there's I really can't think of another game that is like that has a universe that persistent. That is shared among many players.
Minecraft.
I mean, you can also just restart this, make another server though, right?
Not if you believe in that one server.
You play Minecraft as a one server dude. Yeah. Just that's it.
That's it.
One server Brown. Yeah, because I still don't even understand fully. I read how the algorithm works for them to create this universe. I don't get how that's gonna work in retrospect and save everything. But at what point do you actually just start caring about this universe when it's so massive? And how do you feel like you're making an impact? And then that was your question. If you don't feel like you're making an impact, why would you be good?
Right. And if the only way you can make an impact is by, blowing up half a planet, then, is that something that we want to do?
Yes. No, I've told people I've expressed my intentions. If I can create some sort of Death Star, I will.
In real life.
Yeah. My maniacal intentions are getting megalomaniacal. Dang,
yes.
I love
Mega
that
high
word.
Maniacal. Let's go there.
Yeah, into space. I'm just gonna
Megalomaniacal.
destroy. Jupiter's been eyeing me lately, and I'm not having it. It's the biggest planet. I gotta take it down. It's bullying everyone else. I think it's the biggest one.
Yeah.
It's not even in our solar system.
How many planets?
12.
Do you have 12? Okay.
I gotta people are actually gonna think I don't know anything about anywhere. But yeah, what's to stop someone from just playing Grand Theft Auto like I would? And at a certain point, is it actually going to affect the universe? There's so many unknowns with this game because it's so big. It's hard to wrap our minds around. It's a galaxy, right? Not a universe.
Right. And I mean, it is a game, right? It's fine for people to have fun and go blow stuff up. But I think the thing that makes this more complicated is there are creatures in this universe that only exist on 1 in 100 million planets. Each creature you come across is procedurally generated, but there are levels of uniqueness and interest. There are more interesting characters than others, or creatures than others. You will come across utopian civilizations, maybe. And what if a person rolls up to one of these utopian civilizations and decides that it's eyeing him wrong?
Yeah.
And he just blows it up, and then it's saved to the server.
Two things. How awesome would it be if you come across a planet with humans or some similar intelligent sentient life? And B, how much would that affect your moral compass? Because if I'm just going to destroy this four-legged thing and all of its family members and its planet, I don't care.
No.
I'll probably I'm a carnivore. I'll eat it. I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan. In real life, my character is going to be a vegan space pirate in No Man's Sky, so that's different. But yeah, if you come across how do you actually care about these animals? If A, they're just animals, but also B, this is no one else in the world sees this animal except for you. Chances are, how do you weigh the population of the people, the number of people playing the game with who's actually else is seeing this?
Yeah, my personal thoughts on this is it'll probably be easier for me personally to preserve creatures, or it'll be more likely that I'll preserve creatures who look like humans, like who interact with me in a certain way that is human-like.
But they're the biggest threat.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Take them down.
I would love if we got to the center of the universe and it just like punished the people who were bad.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Like-
How do you plan on playing this game?
I like to think that I'll just be a zoologist going around, making sure or keeping track of things that I see that are cool, but I'm probably going to end up, blowing up space stations and rolling around as a space pirate.
Make
Yeah.
shit pop.
What about you?
I really want to do a lot of flight and exploration, like in the the outer space. I don't think I'll be able to do a lot of that because I'm also reviewing this game. There's a lot to do. I'm terrified of reviewing this game. But yeah, I guess I don't put too much stock into how I'm going to feel about the decisions I make in regards to affecting life or other people. But we'll see. Maybe that'll shift.
Yeah. I plan on, like I said, being bad. I'm just going to jump into like San Andreas and kind of mess stuff up. Which it just begs the question, like, how good do I think the rest of the universe is and how much punishment do I think it deserves from my standpoint? From my solipsistic standpoint as a planet-destroying vegan space pirate with a robotic parrot. I've already got this all figured out.
The No Man's Sky
Use
universe.
it in a name. What's the name?
The universe has original sin. You have to punish it for its original sin.
Sorry, your name thing derailed me. Captain Cyber Jim.
GYM?
No. Like,
No, I know.
Like the-
I
yeah.
know.
GYM, yeah. He's gonna be ripped.
Yeah.
A ripped vegan space pirate. But no, like that's how. There's so many unknowns with this game. Like again, it's huge. But how do we actually look at it, and how do we say like, how do we like affect this world when it's
Right.
that big? And I guess that's kind of affecting because San Andreas and Los Santos are like these actual contained environments that you can see how you don't really affect the world in Grand Theft Auto, but like in Mass Effect, there's a fair number of planets you can explore. It's not this like the scope of No Man's Sky, but you're actually still, certain people won't make it to Mass Effect 3. Certain people won't even make it through 2. How do you make those decisions? Because it's a smaller cast and you actually care about them. In this, I just feel like I'm not going to care about anybody because I know they might be expendable because there's not that much substance. Again, I haven't played the game. Very few people have, but how is that going to affect my decisions? I don't know.
Yeah, it might all feel meaningless.
Yeah.
And I think there's a strange balancing act there between what the developer's trying to do to make the many worlds matter, but also just the sheer immensity of the universe. Like you guys were saying, how do you make this stuff matter? Why would you ever care about one animal that you come across on a planet when there are, an uncountable number of animals on other planets?
Yeah, I mean, that begs the question: like, is any of this? Does any
Does
of this
this
matter?
Does any of this matter?
How do you make a game that big and actually find meaning in it? That's like I think that's why everybody's so curious about No Man's Sky because, like, if I could explore the universe, I probably wouldn't care about like you two.
Well,
No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame you. I'd be happy to see you go. Honestly,
Close friends are only like a matter of relativity.
yes.
Like the more you travel and the more you explore, the less I'm gonna text you guys and see how you're feeling, and the less I'm gonna open up to you.
but Snapchat still a thing.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
snap. Oh, dude, I'll snap all day. me and I don't have a name for the parrot yet either. Dude.
Oh, dude.
I'm usually
Dude.
better at this. Me
What
and Groucho.
There you go.
All right.
Jim and Groucho.
No, Captain Cyber Jim and Groucho.
Yeah.
It's going to be a matter of, substance. How do you find that in this world? Is there substance to be found at a certain point? Does the size of it kind of trump
Yeah.
the meaning you find in it?
And do you guys care about getting to the center of the universe?
No.
No.
If
But
you,
maybe the game will make me care. I mean,
Yeah.
like what I don't understand is like, are you never interrupted by like an event that kind of prods you to like want to do one thing or another? Like that's what I really want to know. If this is just like just go do whatever, that's going to be super hard for me to like feel great about continuing to to do. Because if I'm not working towards something, and if that something is only getting to the center of the galaxy, yikes.
Have you read anything about what the leaker has been saying?
Not really. I only looked at one of his gameplay clips that was about a half hour long, and I clicked around it, and minute to minute, he was doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Which is pointing his laser at rocks.
He didn't spoil anything, but he did say that there is a little bit of that, at least, the sort of direction.
Yeah. I feel like there has to be.
Yeah, there has to be, right?
well, the reason I want to play No Man's Sky is the same reason I played like Skyrim for so long. It was that just exploring this world, but that was a contained world. It's a singular
Yeah.
experience. But there are like story threads going through it, whereas it doesn't seem like that's going to happen here. The stories you find are the ones you create yourself, which is very appealing to me. Well, I don't know that. That's how I'm taking it right now. It's just such a weird case, and I'm excited for it to release just so we can like know what the hell it is. Like, and I come in and ask you about it.
We just had this exact same conversation on the Giant Bombcast. That's what it boils down to. We just want to know what it is.
It's curiosity at this point.
Yeah.
And if it's great, then awesome. I maybe will be. If it's not, then I don't know. It's just been, like it's been hyped a lot because it's such a weird. It could be like a new benchmark for how things like this are created, but how much is there going to be, like how longevity and reaching the center of the universe like might be the goal, but is it worth taking the time to get to?
Yeah, I mean, and something that I've been saying since it was announced is if it was Proteus in space and they positioned it as such, I would be totally into it. But they've been hyping this game up and talking about it and trying to put to rest the questions about its gameplay and stuff that I think that, for one thing, they'll never be able to fulfill expectations for this. And for another, I think they've gotten, like they've just stopped stressing the discovery aspect of it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this is officially, I think, the last time we're going to talk about No Man's Sky on the lobby before it's out, right? Well, it comes out Tuesday, but I don't think reviews are going to be up then.
It's so doubtful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, likely, aside from like when we get to talk to you about the review, I think this is the last time we have to fit No Man's Sky into it, which is nice.
I feel like I kind of want, like, I really want to get into this game. Like, I need an outfit to wear when I'm playing it so I can be Cyber Jim.
A Snuggie. Oh, role playing.
Snuggie.
I thought you meant something comfortable, like a catheter and a Snuggie.
Yeah, no, okay. No, I'm
And a
into
six
it.
pack of Heinies.
No.
Tecates?
Yeah, I'm into
Limes or no?
I'll have the option.
Cyber Jim and Groucho would be super into limes if you're not even doing it right. But anyway, yeah. Holy crap. That is No Man's Sky. Will you be good or bad? Let us know in the comments below. The game comes out next week, finally, depending on when you're watching this video. If you're watching it live, then yeah, next week. We'll talk about it more on the lobby when we finally get to review it. But yeah. Anyway, what do you guys... shoot, I got to bring back this up. Yeah, to get back to the giveaway. Yarny, follow GameSpot so we can DM you. There was a tweet that went up at 2:15 from GameSpot about Yarny. If you win, you will get this adorable thing. I'm going to try to set it there. I don't think it'll work.
Our woven boy.
He's got I just dropped his tail. Give me a second. He's got a tail as well that comes with it, which is, like the game you unravel him. Unraveled is the name of the game. But yeah, we will DM you the code let us know if you want PS4 or Xbox One, and we'll get it to you. Oh, yeah. Time of the show. What are you guys doing this weekend? It's Tuesday. Why am I asking about the weekend? I'm looking ahead. I have a music festival, Outside Lands. I'm going to see Radiohead. I'm going to see Lionel Richie.
Tight.
Nice.
Saint Lucia. If you're familial with them. What are your plans this week, the rest of this week?
I'm taking tomorrow off. I'm going to go to the Stanley Kubrick exhibit over at the Jewish History Museum. Mm-hmm. Going to go have brunch with my girlfriend's grandma.
Nice.
Probably some bacon.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe fruit.
Nice.
I hear Mary laughing.
Mary's enjoying this.
Never not laughing. I don't know. My life is boring. What are you doing? You're young. You're interesting.
Yeah, my girlfriend works at the Jewish Museum. You should, tomorrow she's working there. You should say hi.
Well, hot damn. What's her name? Can I like freak her out and know her? Be like, hey, wait, do you remember we went to high school together?
No, don't even say that. Just go up and hug her and pretend you just saw her like the day before. Kirsten?
Kirsten.
Hey!
Where does she?
You're a Kubrick fan?
Why does she work there?
No, yeah. Why the hell does she work at where?
What does she think
She works on the curatorial staff. There we go.
So I'll ask for the head curator
Yeah,
when I'm there.
That's
Okay.
her, basically. Yep.
Tight.
Sweet.
What am I
Prepare to be
doing?
curated. Muriel.
Oh, that
What's her name?
sounds so
Kirsten?
threatening. Don't tell someone you're gonna curate them.
Oh, by the way,
Don't like those shoes. I don't like that hat.
So I'm gonna put them on display. Is that what curating is?
Get out of here.
Yeah.
By the way, there are ice cream sandwiches in the lobby. You guys should go get them.
Right now
Yeah.
at the Jewish History Museum. Why would I go all the way over there?
God damn it, Mike.
Okay.
There you go.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, the show was like on track until like you two came on. At least I like to think it was. But yeah. Anyway, so that's the end of our show today. Danny O'Dwyer will be back next week, I think. What'd he say?
The Batman.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I
Batman.
forgot to tease this thing. We're doing a Batman, the game we talked about earlier, the Batman, the Telltale series, episode 1, Realm of Shadows stream. I believe it was Jake Decker and Mary Kish. Kind of like going through it as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eric Tay. Everybody, shout out to Mary Kish, Jean-Luc Seipke, and everybody else in back. Eric Tay is there right now for putting on the show. Sadly, this is my last week hosting for a while. Danny's back from, again, I still don't know where he's been. This is just a mystery in itself. He's probably in Iceland or
Let's
something.
not tell
Yeah.
him. Let's not tell him.
Yeah.
Was he in Ireland?
I said let's not tell him.
The land of my ancestors. Yeah, I'm my
Wrap
grandpa.
it up.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, thank you all for joining. We'll see you next week. Daniel will be back, and hopefully, he can end the show better than I can. Thanks for joining, everybody.